Hey, what's up, Crypto Army? I'm Travis, your crypto newbie, bringing you my experiences. You have to learn things the hard way. Just a reminder, I'm not a financial advisor, and none of my content is previous financial advice. Today, we're going to review the AMA for Reflex Finance from yesterday. A lot of really good information came out, and I thought we should take a look at it. Now, I also recorded it, so I did do a live stream of the event yesterday. If you want to check out the full AMA, you can check that link right here. It's about an hour long. Fast forward about 15 minutes to get to the beginning of the AMA. It'll open up with Crypto Rabbit, who will introduce everybody for the team. The introductions portion is going to be a little bit different than the introductions from the previous live stream that they did. So if you want to find out more information about the CEO or some of the other members on the team, that would be a good place to start. And then they're going to jump into some of the utility review, followed by Q&A from the community. It's a very good AMA, and they covered a lot of really good information, so I highly recommend taking a look at it. Now, the question I'm going to start with is a little bit different than probably what you expect. There was a question about getting other YouTubers on board, and the specific example was SafeMoon community, and I think most of us probably follow the SafeMoon community because it is kind of a pretty big project, and they've got a lot of followers, so it's probably a good bet that at least most of the subscribers to my channel at least are aware of SafeMoon, if not already invested or have invested and withdrawn. My guess is there's some variation of all of those situations inside of the people that watch this channel. Now, the example was, when are we going to get some of those size YouTubers on board? Here's the reality of the situation when it comes to YouTubers. And I've been involved with several different projects kind of behind the scenes. A lot of the projects add me to their group. That way I kind of know what's going on with the projects. And I get to kind of see some of the thought processes on advertising and marketing and seeing kind of the information they're getting back from different influencers, whether it's from Telegram or from Twitter or from YouTube. And the reality is that a lot of YouTubers charge a ridiculous amount of money for covering a video, or influencers that send a tweet, or influencers that have a Telegram channel. Those things cost a lot of money. And I think we all intuitively know that, but you might not realize how much, especially for some of the bigger channels, that can cost. And it can be tens of thousands of dollars. And that tens of thousands of dollars is for one video. That's not for a whole series or continuing coverage of the project. That's one video or one tweet or one AMA on Telegram. Some of them are getting 20 BNB for an AMA on Telegram. Again, it comes down to how big the influencer is, but that's kind of crazy when you really think about it. The best YouTubers for a project are the ones that organically find the project or are already covering it. Those are the YouTubers that you want. Now, that doesn't mean stop going to contact YouTubers and say, hey, can you check out this project? Because that works too, because it brings them over their project, or at least hopefully they go check it out. But if they're only working to get paid, more than likely what they're going to do is reach out to the team and say, hey, your community is asking me to come take a look at your project. Here's what I charge. I'm just being honest. That's kind of how it works. So how do we get big YouTubers? Well, the best way is to attract them. Hopefully they'll find the project. And in the meantime, you can help build them. And how do you build bigger YouTubers? If we've got YouTubers like myself, Todd Hart with Eyes on Crypto, and Scripted Legend, the best way to do that is to get the performance of the videos up so that YouTube pushes it to more people. And then it builds organic growth on the YouTube channel for a YouTuber that's already found the project. And I mentioned 3. Again, there's more projects out there. Go check out Reflex Finance on YouTube and see what are out there. But how does it work? YouTube is very simple. You watch the video, as much of it as possible, ideally the entire thing, because that's really what YouTube is looking for, is the entire video, but a good chunk of the video at the very least. Liking it, and then engaging with the video. And what does that mean? A comment. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. A rocket ship works just fine. A rocket ship going to the moon. And that is engagement. YouTube isn't picky. It's looking for view time, and it's looking for engagement. And if a video is launched and all of a sudden it's got thousands of views and a whole bunch of comments, it's going to push it to a lot more people, and hopefully those people like the project and decide to invest. So there's a funny example of exactly this situation. For example, there was a YouTuber that was spreading FUD about Evergrow coin. And if you're an Evergrow coin follower, then you probably are aware of what I'm talking about. The entire community went over to that channel and said, this is all FUD, it's all garbage, your analysis is horrible, a white paper doesn't need to be hundreds of pages long. All of those comments actually grew that YouTuber's channel by thousands of people. because he was getting lots and lots of engagement and people were watching it. That's how YouTube identifies who to push the information to. So everybody was astounded that this channel grew as quickly as it did. It's because people were doing that. People were engaging on that video, and YouTube was taking that and saying the performance is phenomenal. Let's push it to more people like this. And then more people watched it, subscribed, and engaged. And that channel continued to grow. We can do the exact same thing as a community for the YouTubers we've already got. When there's positive YouTube content out there, do those things. Watch the video, subscribe to it, comment on it, and YouTube will push that content to other people. That's how you can build a YouTube community around the YouTubers. Now, I know you're saying, yeah, but your channel is going to grow and you're going to get monetized. I can tell you that YouTube does not pay that good. I've got over 2,000 subscribers, and you make about $140 a month, give or take. It depends on viewing time for the videos. It's not a lot. So yes, the YouTubers do benefit from you doing those things, but you as a holder in this crypto also benefit because more people are getting exposed to the crypto, and potentially they'll invest. And similarly, once the whitelist opportunities are done, don't stop pushing this crypto. You've realized we're almost at 7,000 holders right now on Telegram. That's because of the community. That's because the community is constantly going out there and pushing this information to people. Continue to do that. We'll get to 10,000. We'll get to 20,000. We'll get to 100,000. Maybe we'll even beat the record that EverGrowCoin had. Or maybe we'll have more people than SafeMoon does. There really isn't any limit to what the community can accomplish when we work together. Now, right now, we've got almost 7,000 subscribers in Telegram. We've got over 1,000 in Discord. Todd Hart with Eyes on Crypto doesn't even have enough subscribers right now to monetize his channel. So at the very least, we can go fix that by subscribing to his channel to get him over 1,000. He's not making any money off of his channel because he's got to have X number of hours and X number of subscribers. Hours is actually harder to do than subscribers. I hit 1,000 subscribers before I hit 4,000 hours of view time. So again, watching the content helps. It helps the YouTuber, it helps the channel, and more importantly, it helps push this stuff out to other people that might invest in Reflex. Now, I'm not telling you to go tell your wife and your kids and everybody else to start watching this stuff. If people that aren't interested in crypto start doing that, it actually hurts the algorithm. So it really does need to be people like you that are interested in Reflex Finance doing these things. It can't be the spouse. It can't be your kids. It can't be your 2-year-old daughter that goes on crypto or some account that you created. It needs to be somebody that's actually interested in crypto. And this works for every project that you follow. So if there's a project out there that you're interested in, this is how you can help build that community up, is by subscribing to that YouTuber, watching the video, and commenting. And the comment doesn't have to be anything more than a rocket ship going to the moon. It doesn't have to be some unique thought that's thought-provoking and it needs a response. I try to respond to every question, but if you put a rocket ship in a moon, I'm probably just going to like it because there's not much to say to that other than maybe saying to the moon. Now, if you're going to my channel specifically, I've made it as easy as I can for you to find Reflex material. It's right at the top. So when you navigate to my page, the first thing you should see is a section called Reflex Finance. And that'll be all the videos I've done on Reflex Finance right here. Now, if you're looking for an easy way to play the content, if you go over to playlist and click that, I've created playlists for all the different tokens I cover. And when it's not a token I'm talking about, for example, security, I've created playlists that put all that information together to make it a little easier to find. So if you're looking for Reflex Finance, here's a playlist. And you can literally just play all of them if that's something you're interested in doing. And if you're really ambitious, I've got another one down here for all content that has about 200 videos in it. That could take a while though. I've tried to make this channel as easy as possible for you to find the content you're looking for. All right, enough about that. So let's talk a little bit about our COO, or our Chief Operating Officer. The question that continually comes up is what makes him qualified to be the CEO of this project, and how do we know he's going to be successful as a CEO for this project? I'll mention this, not every project has a COO. Actually, quite a few don't do it like this, where they've got things broken down by specific leadership billets, because the CEO is essentially a leadership billet. It's kind of like the CEO. CEO really sets the vision for what he wants the project to do, and the CEO makes it happen. That's a good way to break that down. Now, why am I uniquely qualified to talk about this? I've got a lot of the same experiences that Miles does. So I'm a Marine. I'm also in the process of retiring at 24 years. I will be retired here very shortly. I'm actually on my time off. So I've been enjoying the last month of retirement, essentially, while I look for another job. So I can understand where Miles is coming from in that regard, based on having been a Marine for 24 years. But I've also had a lot of the exact same jobs, not necessarily the exact same job, but the same leadership billets. So I've been a commanding officer. I've been an executive officer for way too many years. I wouldn't wish that on anybody because XO, as we would call it in the Marine Corps, is a very challenging job. I've also been an operations officer. I've also been a chief of current operations, and I've also been the future operations officer, and I've filled in as the operations officer. And I've also had, as my time as an XO, I got to do OPSO type stuff as well, along with some other jobs just because we were shorthanded on officers. So I've got a lot of these exact same experiences. So I can kind of talk to what makes him qualified to do that job. Let's scroll down his LinkedIn a little bit here. What is a commanding officer? In many ways, a commanding officer is very similar to a CEO. Effectively, he was doing the vision for, now this was a series commander, and he was basically in charge of recruits at Recruit Depot to make sure that they made mission and got everything where they needed to, and every single, ideally every single recruit graduates, but they get broken, they quit, there's lots of things that happen. But he's in charge of making sure that that mission gets done, that the mission of that command is essentially accomplished, along with ensuring that all of the drill instructors are also taken care of. This is not an easy task by any stretch. Most often, when you're on a recruit depot, you're working 18-hour days. It is long days. And every CEO relaxes when they finish their CEO job. It's a sigh of relief. There's only a couple different ways you can leave your job. One of them is you get to hear the music, which is good. It means you made it all the way to the end of your tour. The other one is you got fired and there's no music. He successfully completed his tour, which means that he made his mission and he didn't have any real big issues when he was there. That's a real challenge. And there are a lot of CEOs that get fired. So he has that experience of essentially being the CEO. That would be the equivalent. Or you might call it a director. It's very similar to a director type job. What is an XO or executive officer? Because he was also that for a portion of this tour. And an XO is a second in command. So he works for the CEO. And arguably his job is actually harder because he really does everything. The CEO says, this is kind of the vision. This is what I want to do. And the XO makes everything happen by working with the operations officer and some of the other key billets inside the command. He's the one that's really making sure that everything is moving the way that it needs to. Now, every command's a little bit different on how they're structured and what the XO's role is. And some of that is dependent on how that CEO was and how that CEO wanted things done on exactly what the XO's role is. Sometimes it's more administrative and they just kind of manage everything. Sometimes it's more actively involved in the actual running of the command. So it's kind of hard to say exactly what it is, but you're experiencing all of those aspects. You're the person coming up with the vision as a CEO, and as the XO, you're kind of making everything happen. And depending on whether you had an operations officer at the command, you might also be doing the operations officer thing as well. And you're also usually responsible for a lot of the HR requirements for the command as well. And then you've got this operations officer portion that he was actually just doing the operations job, which as an operations officer or COO, as he's currently, it's the exact same thing. You're the one making sure everything gets done, especially all the tasks that the XO is giving you from the CO, because the XO is kind of the middleman for every task that comes into that command from outside entities. So can he make sure that all the tasks are getting done by the team for Reflex? Absolutely. In comparison to what he's done in the past, it's probably going to be fairly easy. You don't have to be an expert in crypto or in wallet design or in blockchain development or in staking and all the mechanics of it. You've got experts that do that. It's the exact same thing for all these roles. When you have these, you don't have to be an expert in what that command does or what that business does to be able to lead. The Marine Corps prides itself in building leaders that can fall into pretty much any position and be successful. I rarely had the exact same job that I was trained for in my military career. Rarely happened. I was usually doing something completely different from what I was trained in. Now, I'm an aviation guy. I fix aircraft. That's what I'm good at, or that's what I'm supposed to be good at. And I think I might have had 2 or 3 assignments that actually did that. Everything else was very different from that. The very first assignment, I went to a unit, and we were supposed to fix aircraft, or essentially the parts for the aircraft. And within a few months of checking into that assignment as a brand new lieutenant, I found myself in Afghanistan training infantry tactics to the ANA that were over there. Very different from fixing aircraft. And the rest of my career was very similar to that. So the way to look at the Marine Corps is that we make really good leaders that can fall into any type of a job and be successful because they know how to lead people. They're generally pretty good at managing tasks. I have absolutely no doubt that Miles can be successful as a CEO for Reflex. Now, one of the questions that popped up in the live stream from one of the subscribers to the channel is the CEO is not doxed. And I agree. I've mentioned that on multiple projects, and I would 100% agree. Now, I sent that concern to the team to address. They tried to address it a little bit in the live stream, so I highly recommend you check it out. The CEO has his own marketing company, and it sounds like it's a pretty big company. I don't think he's in a position right now to dox himself. Now, I suspect that the team knows the CEO. And where does this concern come from? Why does this even matter? If you're new to the crypto space, there's been a lot of examples where a CEO wasn't doxed, other members on the team were, and the CEO ran off with all the money and left everybody essentially with nothing. And the team, in those instances, didn't know who the CEO was. Kind of a big issue, and it created a lot of hate and discontent within the crypto space because those things happen. Now, again, I get the sense that this team knows who the CEO is. And if the CEO is to do something like that, I'm fairly certain they're going to tell everybody who he is. At least that would be kind of the hope, is they would do that. Now, there are some other things that the team could talk about that would help mitigate this concern. For example, who controls the wallets? Who's got the keys to the wallets? So hopefully the team will address the concern because it's a valid concern. I'm not going to say that it's not. I just don't know that it is with this project, but the team can address that for the community. It was funny because Nick, the person that asked that question, said the exact same thing I've said repeatedly on this channel. It's the difference between investing a couple $100 and a couple $1,000. And that really comes down to the fundamentals. When you believe in the fundamentals and all the fundamentals are there, you have no problems investing in the project. Now, that doesn't mean it's not going to have an issue or it couldn't have an issue. There's no 100% guarantees in the crypto space, unfortunately. But when the fundamentals are there, you have a lot less concern about investing in that project. And that's why that concern matters. Now, they did mention that an exchange actually contacted them, and it was a top 25 exchange worth about $1 billion. So we can expect that they're going to be listing Reflex on exchanges in the not so distant future. Again, no specifics. They're still working out all the details, but those details will be coming. Now, one of the things I really like about this project is they take input from the community. And I actually attribute that partly to Miles because the Marine Corps has this saying, there's no stupid idea. Sometimes a Lance Corporal, and that's pretty low on the totem pole in comparison to a CO, sometimes a Lance Corporal has a good idea that the CO and everybody else between him and that Lance Corporal didn't have. We welcome that engagement. And that's the culture that Reflex is trying to build. They want your input. And Miles mentioned he got a DM from somebody and he sent it to the team and said, hey, this is a great idea. Let's see if we can do it. That means this team is listening to the community. And a lot of teams don't do that. That's it for today. Hope you found the content helpful. As always, if you got questions about Reflex, put them in the comments. I'll try to get back to you. If I don't have the answer, I'll go ask the team. Until next time, stay strong with those diamond hands.